Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Shook. I make videos for NBA. I do a bunch of other content in my Discord. All of these videos get posted on this subreddit right here called DF Sports. I make updates with all the news that comes out during the slate. That's definitely something you want to check on, and then you can talk strategy here in the comments. Ask me questions. I'll reply to you, stuff like that. I make that a priority to reply to all of you guys. So check that out if that's something you're interested in. And then um, if you ever need to get a hold of me privately, my Twitter handle is ToryLangley1992 or ShookGo. That's how you can get a hold of me privately on Twitter. So going over my lineup from tonight, and finally have a bad day. Finally. But once again, I feel pretty good about my lineup. So I was 5 points from cashing. Cash line was 272. I was at 266, so 5 points from cashing. And Fox had a floor game, like not even a floor game, a basement game, and he gets pulled with 6 minutes left to go in the game. Also, only plays 12 first half minutes. I don't know what that's about. I really don't understand. Why are we playing Fox 12 first half minutes against the best team in the league, or one of the best teams in the league? Why? 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 Easily cash if he gets that normal first half rotation, or the game just doesn't get pulled with 6 minutes to go. It wasn't even that big. It was like a 18, 19 point game with 6 minutes left, and they just get pulled. Like unreal stuff. What, you don't think De'Aaron Fox gets 5 fantasy points if he plays more than 12 first half minutes in the last 6 minutes of the game? So basically got robbed out of cash. But how about that Jonas Valanciunas call? How about that? Obviously got lucky because he played in the blowout. Like he played, I don't know what, like 4 or 5 minutes in the blowout and crushed. But how about it, baby? How about that? Feel really good about that. I also didn't expect him to be this popular. He got steamed a lot, so I don't know if the field's getting a bit sharper, or if 100,000 people are watching my videos or something. I guess the field's getting a bit sharper, because I thought Jonas Valanciunas was a phenomenal play today for the videos that are for the reasons that I shared in my video yesterday. So interesting to see that he was that popular. I did not think that was going to happen. And then the core that I have for today was Trae Young, smash, Bog, foul trouble, still did well. Keita Bates-Diop, just fine, and then Sandro smashed, and I was absolutely shocked. 30% of the field faded Sandro, Mabukelishvili in high stakes GPPs. I was just absolutely shocked by that. And then I rounded out my lineup with AJ Griffin, Kristaps Porzingis, Jonas Valanciunas, De'Aaron Fox, and then still had some good days in Discord, and I just want to shout out some people. So shout out, Jake, first place of the year. Who else? Where is he? Oh, Julian. Nice little 3K there. I think it was in my contest too. Yeah, it was. Here's his lineup. Went with Trey, Bog, KWHDL, Porzingis, Sandro, Jonas Valanciunas, and then Marvin Bagley. I was so mad I didn't get to Marvin Bagley. I really wanted to get to one of the Detroit bigs, but I couldn't find something I wanted. I preferred Wiseman. Luckily, I didn't go there, but I really wanted Jonas Valanciunas and I really wanted Sandro. So, and then like builds with Bagley, just I couldn't find anything I liked. But this is a really good lineup. I like this lineup a lot. So, congrats once again to you, Julian. All right, let's go over this slate. So we got a big slate here. I hate big slates. I just wish they would just go back to, like, we had a good stretch of like 6 to 7 game slates, which is, I always love those slates. But we got a big slate here. And sorry for the late video. I was in a Twitter space with a bunch of very, very sharp DFS players. We sat in there for a good, it was like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, just talking about pretty much anything DFS related. It was pretty fun. Pretty sure they're going to do it every Tuesday as well. So check that out on Twitter. Every Tuesday, I believe, 10:30 Eastern time. We'll be doing that. Pretty sure. All right, let's go over the slate. So Denver at Washington. You guys know what I'm going to say here. I always like to target Daniel Gafford. It's just everyone that plays Daniel Gafford seems to do very, very well. So I like Jokic a lot as a spend up. I think Jamal Murray at 7-7 is a pretty good play as well. I think he's too cheap at this price tag. Like the spot, like the pace up spot against Washington as well. So I like both the top two guys here for Denver. Gordon, MPJ, they seem priced about right to me. KCP, I think, is a bit overpriced for his role. Just as you guys know, he'll just shoot basically. Bruce Brown, playable. He'll play 20, 25 minutes. Not a priority. I feel like we'll get better value opening up later in the day. Washington. So Kyle Kuzma is questionable. I don't think he will be playing here. So assuming he is out, then I like the ceiling on Porzingis. I do prefer Beal given the matchup. So I do prefer Beal to Porzingis, but I think both would be solid options. Denny would get a boost and probably play around 30. Played 34 minutes tonight. Probably play around 30 minutes off the bench. He seems like a relatively safe play at 5-4. Not a smash anymore that the price has come up. I don't know why Corey Kispert is $5,000. That's just absolutely egregious. So do not play Corey Kispert. Daniel Gafford might play more against Jokic. We'll see. A playable value of 4-9, but he's always in foul trouble. And then I'm not going to go to the guards. Let's go over the Knicks. So not a good matchup here. So Randall Brunson, they're just contrarian plays for me. I will say Brunson does seem way too cheap at 7-3. So it's going to come down to ownership for me. Like if Brunson's low owned at 7-3, like it's still too cheap even for this matchup. So if he's going to be pretty low owned tomorrow, I do like Brunson at 7. It's just too cheap. It's just way too cheap. I don't care what the matchup is. So I do like Brunson regardless. Quickly's overpriced. Josh Hart's overpriced. RJ Barrett's role right now is just bad. So hard to go to him. Mitchell Robinson, always like him for GPPs, but I just hate this matchup, so I don't think I'll be going there. He's always playable, though, because he has a ceiling. And that'll do it for the Knicks. On to Miami. So there's just not much here. Like, these two teams just play so slow. They're tough defensively. So Butler, Bam, more contrarian options for me. Same with Harrow. We have Caleb, Kyle Lowry, both questionable. If they're both out, it's probably going to be more minutes for guys like Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. I don't think it would be enough for me to consider either. Like, if I had to pick one, it would probably be Gabe Vincent, but I feel like we'll have better value opening up. Kevin Love at 4K I think is reasonable. Probably plays around 20 minutes. Good point per minute guy. Yeah, I think that's a perfectly reasonable value play. Let's move on to the Pacers. So tough spot here. It's all going to come down to Halliburton for me. If he's in, then I really have no interest in anyone on this team in a tough spot besides maybe Halliburton himself, but I'd assume he'd be on a limit. If he's out, though, then I do have interest in this team. Then, like, Miles Turner's okay for GPPs. Buddy Hield would have to do a lot more. I would like his ceiling for GPPs. TJ McConnell would be fine at 5'9" off the bench. Probably plays around 30 minutes. Not a priority given the matchup. Same kind of thing with Nembhard. He'll start and play around, 30, 35 minutes. Once again, wouldn't be a priority, but I think would be okay to solid at that price. Mathurin, is Dorte in? If Dorte's questionable, I guess you could. If Dorte's out, I would have more interest in Mathurin, but once again, seems about right at 5-1. We'll see, though. Like, we'll see what the starting lineup is. Was Nomura in last game? 320 he was. So we'll see the Halliburton news. No priorities, but I think some guys would be interesting, that being Buddy Hield, TJ McConnell, Nembhard, Mathurin, and then depending on the Dorte news and then what they do with the starting lineup. I want to see what the depth chart is looking like for the Pacers. Yeah, we'll see. So, not a lot in the Pacers, but I think some guys would be okay to solid if Halliburton's out. On Toronto, so it's a good spot here. We have Scotty Barnes questionable. I don't expect him to play here. We'll see though. If he's in, then I think Siakam, Fred, they're fine, too solid. Jakob Poeltl, I do like Jakob Poeltl if Scotty Barnes is out. I think his minutes would be a bit more secure, just one less body in the rotation. I think his rebounding rates would go up a bit. So I think Poeltl's a pretty good play if Scotty's out. If he's in, I'm still fine with him. And then I'm not going to go to anyone else. If Scotty is out though, then I they're just going to run a really, really tight rotation here. So you're going to see big minutes for the main guys. I assume Gary Trent will move into the starting lineup. So Siakam in a pace-up spot at 8-8. I know he's been pretty good of late. Like to see that as well. No issue if you want to go there. I think that's fine. Given the matchup, I think I'd prefer getting to Jakob Poeltl. I think he's definitely my favorite play of the bunch. I do prefer Fred VanVleet to Siakam. So, but I do like the main three guys if Scotty Barnes is out. I think Pirtle's good regardless. OG would just be fine, and then Gary Trent would move into the starting lineup, and I think he would be a solid play at 5-2. But if he's going to be very, very popular, I always like fading a chalky Gary Trent, but I would like him quite a bit if he starts. And then if Scotty Barnes is out, you're probably going to see more run for like guys like Boucher, Precious. I think they'd be fine dart throws, especially if we don't have a bunch of value. So wouldn't hate going to either of those guys if Scotty is out. Let's move on to the Warriors. So Dre's probable. Looney is probable as well. So Steph, sub 10K. My only issue here is I just don't really like playing anyone against Dallas, but sub 10K Steph does seem too cheap, so I always like Steph for GPPs. I think Clay has a ceiling, has to hit his shots. No issue with that at that price tag. I thought he was pretty good play last slate against Houston. Definitely a different matchup, but still think he's in play. Draymond seems priced about right. Everyone else seems priced about right as well. Let's move on to Dallas. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, guys. I got to get to bed. Was in that Twitter space for way too long. So, Luka, Kyrie, both questionable. If they're both in, I have absolutely zero interest in this team. If Luka's in, I'd assume he'd be on a limit, and then obviously Kyrie would be unplayable. Luka would be unplayable. If Luka's out and Kyrie isn't on a limit, then I like his ceiling for GPPs. And then if you guys watched my last video with Dallas on the slate, I mentioned if they start that bigger lineup with Kleba and Powell, I feel much, much more confident in Christian Wood's minutes. Now, I don't know what to do with that against the Warriors. I really don't, because I would not be shocked if he plays 15 minutes tomorrow. I really wouldn't, but I also wouldn't be shocked if he plays 30. And I would only do this, like I said, if they start that bigger lineup and Luka's out. So I'm interested in him in GPPs, but I think there is a lot of risk with him going up against the Warriors because they like to go small a lot. And then I wouldn't get to anyone else if they're in. Like I think Kleba's fine if they start him. Very, very low usage guy, but will play a ton of minutes if they do start him. But wouldn't be any standouts here. Tim Hardaway Jr. now that the prices come down, I guess as the ceiling, but I would prefer like Gary Trent for $200 cheaper. So, but if they're both out, then there is a lot to like here. Then I really like Jaden Hardy at 4.8. He would look great. I think Josh Green at 4.9 would look very, very good. I would really like both of those guys. Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to have to do a bunch more. I think he'd be a solid play at 5.5. And then still kind of the same thing with the bigs, like Christian Wood. I'd still be a bit worried in this matchup, but so his I don't think his role really would change, or my stance or take on that would really change. And you're going to see like huge minutes for Eddie Bullock. I wouldn't even hate him for value. And then like Kleba playable, stuff like that. So I'd even have interest in McKinley Wright at 3.3. So keep an eye on both these guys. If they're both out, there is a lot to like on Dallas. So Philly, okay matchup here against Chicago. We have James Harden questionable. If he is in, then I like the ceiling on Embiid. I like Harden at sub 10K, and I'd be off everybody else. If Harden's out, then I really like Embiid. I think Tyrese Maxey would be a pretty good play, even at this price tag. He'll have to play a ton of minutes, and he takes over with no Harden. I think Tobias Harris would be solid at 5.7. I think Melton would even be playable at 5.4. Shake Milton probably plays around 20 minutes off the bench. I think he'd be viable for value for salary relief. So keep an eye on that Harden news. That Harden news is big. And then, do you guys like my call on Vooch against Embiid? So once again, I'm going to say it again. any big that is able to shoot the ball, Embiid struggles against. So also, they're running an extremely tight rotation. You're seeing over 40 minutes for all of these main guys. So I like the big three for GPPs, even in this matchup, just because nobody is going to play any of them. So Vooch definitely being my favorite, but I like Levine, I like DeMar. I think two of them are going to have a pretty big game tomorrow, just with how many minutes they're playing. But Vooch being my favorite. I don't think the field is going to pick up on the rotation that the Chicago Bulls are running right now with these three main guys. So even in this slow-paced, tough matchup, I think they all are good GPP plays. Once again, Vooch being my favorite. I think Patrick Beverley seems like a pretty safe value at 4-2. If Cruz is out, as well, I think I would like Kobe White's ceiling for GPPs. I think he'd be a solid value if Caruso is out. And then Patrick Williams, I would feel more comfortable with, and he'd be a playable value at 3.9. Let's move on to Houston. So same thing I said with Chicago. They're running a really tight rotation with these main guys. So I like Kevin Porter Jr. quite a bit for GPPs. I played him here. I played him here. I played him here. I'm probably going to go back to the well tomorrow. So I like Kevin Porter Jr. quite a bit for GPPs. I like Jalen Green for GPPs. Sengun, they're not playing huge minutes right now, but I like his ceiling for GPPs. I can't get to Jabari at this price tag with Sengun back. No Jayshawn Tate, so you're probably going to see a bit more minutes for KJ Martin. I think he's reasonable to okay at 5.2. I believe Josh Christopher played a bunch last game. I don't know if he plays this much again. Just a large field tournament dart, and that'll do it for Houston. So Memphis is basically unplayable with Ja Morant back, and he might even come off the bench. So he's unplayable as well. Going to be on a limit. Bane overpriced. Tyus out of play. I don't like Tillman. I will say Dylan Brooks is out, so whoever starts for him, I do like for value. Whether that's Conchar, Luke Kennard, Roddy, we'll see. But whoever does start for Brooks, I think is a pretty good value. And then, like I said, I think any of the starters I would go to would be Jaren in a good spot. But everyone else is basically just out of play for me with Ja Morant back. Spurs, I don't know what to say. They're probably going to rest some guys. They're probably going to play some. I don't know what to say. This is what I will say. If everyone is out that is out today, then it's a tough matchup. There's a ton of blowout risk. So I would still like Sandro. I would like Branham. He would get blowout run. He's not going to shoot this bad again. He's not going to get benched again. I think he would play in the blowout. I would like Branham. I would like Sandro a lot. Trey Jones is risky. I don't like. Let me check if he played in the blowout today. Like, that's actually huge. I should have looked at that. No, he got pulled. So blowout lineup was Malachi Branham, Dominic Barlow, Champagne, Blake Wesley, and Gorgie Dang. Gorgie Dieng. So, like I said, if they're all out again, then I do really like Branham. Then I really like Sandro. Devontae Graham came off the bench. Didn't like him as much. I know he had an okay game. And then Keita Bates-Diop, I think would be a solid value. Only played like 9 first half minutes. I didn't understand that, but be a little bit careful there with Keita Bates-Diop. It's pop, so yeah. What I don't think I can get to Doug McDermott. But if they're all in, then I'm just staying away from this team. If some of them are in, some are out, then we'll just make changes. But for right now, if they're all out, then I like Branham, I like Sandro. Keita Bates-Diop is playable, and then if you think the game blows out, then sure, I don't mind getting to Blake Wesley, but we'll see what they do with the news and stuff. So this comes down to if you think this game stays close or not, because I do not think this game stays close. So I don't see Giannis playing full minutes tomorrow. I just think they blow them out of the water, but who knows? Like, if I knew Giannis was going to play 36 minutes tomorrow against the Spurs, he would be in my lineup. He would, but I have no confidence in that. So, like Giannis, if you think this game stays close, tough. I don't think it does. Everyone else, I'm not getting to with Giannis healthy. On the Atlanta side, so DeJounte Murray is questionable. I think he'll play here, but we'll go over it both ways. If he is in a pace-up spot, I still like Trey. I think Murray'd be okay. I'm not getting to Capella. Bog would be able to play at that price tag. Hunter wouldn't really like anything else. But If he is out, then it's the same thing to today. I really like Trae Young. I really like Bogdan. I think Hunter would be a solid value. I think Sadiq Bey at 4-2 would be in play. AJ Griffin at 3,500 only played 18 minutes. I was surprised by that, so I probably wouldn't go to AJ Griffin unless they start him. If they start AJ Griffin, then I like him for value. But they ran like a 12-man rotation. Like, why are we playing Garrison Matthews? What are we doing? But yeah, if Murray's out, really like Trae, really like Bogdan. Hunter would be solid. Collins would get a boost. He'd be okay. And then, depending if they start AJ Griffin or Bogdan, like if AJ Griffin starts, he would be playable. So we might have Cat back. We might have Cat back. So if Cat's in and Ant's in, it would just be Ant at the top for me. I would assume Kyle Anderson would go back to the bench because I think they would need Jaden McDaniels out there for defense. So like if they're both in, everyone's out of play for me, and I'd assume Ant would be on a limit. So Timberwolves would kind of be a cross off for me if everyone's in. If everyone's out, then I like Gobert at 7-2. They've been leaning on him heavily, especially with Ant out as well. So I do like Gobert if they're both out. I think Kyle Anderson seems like a safe play. I still even think Mike Conley is playable at 6'4". He's just going to have such a heavy load with those two guys out. McDaniels, I think, would be solid at 5K. I think they should have raised his price just in case. Always in foul trouble, though. I'm not paying 4.9 for Prince, but yes, he would be in play. I think he'll be going a bit over owned. And then Jalen Noel, if he plays, I think would be an okay value. Played a lot more than I thought he would last game. So yeah, that'll do it for Minnesota. Let's move on to Portland. No Grant, no Simons. We have little questionable. I love Damian Lillard tomorrow, assuming they don't shut him down, because there was a quote that they were going to shut Dame down if they don't win games. So assuming they don't shut him down, I think Dame looks phenomenal without Simons, without Grant. He's probably my favorite spend up on the slate right now. I absolutely love Dame. Now that could change with Harden news, stuff like that, but Dame, I just love Dame tomorrow. Starting line is probably going to be Dame. It's probably going to be Reddish. Probably going to be Thibault. It's going to be Watford. Probably Nurkic. So if Little is out, I do like Watford for value. If Little's in, I think there's a bit more risk, but I think Watford's solid at 5-3. Yusuf Nurkic 6-2. Minutes. I think they're going to be up and down, right? Kind of the same thing with Joval. Like, if I knew he's going to play close to 30 minutes, I'd like him. But once again, there's always risk with him. I will say Watford in the starting lineup potentially could hurt him. And then Cam Reddish, Thibault, I expect huge minutes for both of these guys. I think Reddish is a pretty good value. I think Thibault is solid. Not solid, but reasonable, but would prefer Reddish. I even think you can get to Drew Eubanks, who I think will play around 20 minutes. So I do like this Portland team quite a bit. On to Utah. So we have Markkanen questionable. I do expect him to play, but if he's in, it's really just Markkanen at the top for me. If he's out, then I think THT seems like a safe play at 7-2. Walker Kessler, I think, seems priced about right. Kelly Olynyk at 6-7. I really liked him last late, but that was at 5-7. Would still be playable. Chris Dunn, I think, would be overpriced. Ochai, safe play at 5K. I think that's reasonable now. I don't really like anything else, though, on Utah. Let's move on to Phoenix. So, I like Booker a lot. I like Chris Paul a lot. No Kevin Durant, no Ayton. Phenomenal spot against the Lakers. I think Booker, Paul both look very good. I give the edge to Paul, but I like both quite a bit. Okogie at 5-5 seems okay. Seems priced about right. You're going to get Biyombo most likely starting. They'll kind of split these center minutes. Biyombo played 20. Lando played 15, I believe. So they didn't full split, but I do expect them to full split here. So like Biyombo, like Lando for value. I do prefer who starts. Torrey Craig 4-6 is a safe value play in my opinion. Definitely does get a boost with no Aiden. And then I do like this Phoenix team quite a bit tomorrow. I really like whoever starts at the 5. I really like Booker. I really like Paul. I think Craig's reasonable. So yeah, I do like this Phoenix team a lot. Let's move on to the Lakers. So it's really just 80 or bust. No Ayton, I think AD looks great. I think this is a game where AD finally breaks the slump and he just goes for like a huge 30-point double-double. So like a 35-15 game or 35-18. I just think he feasts here. So I really like 80 for GPPs, and I'm not going to get to anyone else. So hope this video helped you guys out. Sorry for the late video tonight. Was in Twitter space, so I'll talk to you all tomorrow.